Most people panic the moment they see water dripping from their ceiling. And honestly, they should. Because a small roof leak can quietly destroy an entire home long before anyone notices the real damage. Mold inside walls, rotting wood, ruined insulation, electrical hazards. What starts as a tiny stain can eventually cost thousands of dollars. That's why roofing companies move fast when homeowners call. Fear sells. And to be fair, some roof problems absolutely require professional repairs. But here's the strange part most people never hear about. For decades, long before modern roofing companies flooded television with ads and financing plans, homeowners used a forgotten emergency trick that could stop many leaks temporarily for almost nothing. Not permanently, not magically, but long enough to prevent serious damage. And the crazy thing is, this old method still works today. In some situations, shockingly well. Especially during storms. Especially when money is tight. Especially when professional repairs are days away. The trick itself sounds almost too simple. Fabric. Roof cement. Pressure. That's it. No expensive liquid membrane systems. No industrial-grade miracle coating. No $900 emergency service call. Just an old-school patching technique that roofers themselves quietly used for generations before modern synthetic systems took over. And once you understand why it works, you'll never look at roof leaks the same way again. Because most leaks are misunderstood. People assume water enters directly above the visible damage. Usually, it doesn't. Water travels. It slides along rafters. It follows nails. It moves under shingles. It creeps through tiny cracks using surface tension. That's why a leak appearing in one room may actually originate several feet away on the roof itself. And once water finds a path, it keeps using it. That's where this forgotten trick became incredibly valuable. Older generations understood something modern homeowners often forget. Stopping water quickly matters more than making the repair look pretty. Especially during emergencies. Back then, people couldn't always afford immediate roof replacements. Storm damage was common. And in rural areas, professional roofers might not arrive for weeks. So homeowners developed temporary waterproofing methods designed around one goal. Buy time. Protect the structure. Prevent catastrophic damage until permanent repairs became possible. That mindset created some surprisingly effective solutions, including one technique many old roofers still swear by today. The fabric patch method. Now if you've never seen this before, it looks almost ridiculous. You locate the damaged area. Then you spread roofing cement over the crack or hole. Next, you press fabric into the wet cement. Traditionally canvas, burlap, or fiberglass mesh. Then another layer of roofing cement goes on top. Once cured, the patch creates a flexible waterproof barrier that moves with temperature changes instead of cracking instantly like hardened fillers often do. Simple. Effective. And the reason it works comes down to reinforcement. The fabric acts almost like rebar inside concrete. Without reinforcement, many patch materials eventually split under expansion and contraction. Roofs move constantly. Heat expands materials during the day. Cold contracts them at night. Wind flexes surfaces. Rain forces moisture into weak points. Rigid repairs fail fast under those conditions. But reinforced patches distribute stress more evenly. That's why old-school roofers trusted layered fabric repairs for emergency situations decades before modern synthetic membranes existed. In fact, some early flat roof systems used almost identical principles on a much larger scale. Layers of tar and fabric built waterproof surfaces surprisingly durable for the time. And here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of modern advanced roofing products still rely on exactly the same core concept. Flexible waterproof layers reinforced with fibers. The materials evolved, but the physics didn't. That's something the home repair industry rarely emphasizes. Many expensive modern systems are refinements of older methods, not completely new inventions. And when people discover that, it changes how they view DIY repairs entirely. Because suddenly the mystery disappears. How metals redirect flow. How heat changes flexibility. That practical knowledge created incredibly resourceful repairs. And maybe that's part of why these topics fascinate people online now. There's something deeply satisfying about solving problems simply, especially when expensive industries insist every repair requires major spending. The forgotten roof leak trick challenges that assumption directly. It reminds people that knowledge itself has value, sometimes more value than products. Now let's talk about one critical mistake homeowners make with roof leaks: ignoring attic ventilation. Poor ventilation traps moisture and heat inside roof structures, accelerating deterioration dramatically. That hidden moisture can weaken decking, encourage mold growth, and shorten shingle lifespan significantly. Old builders often understood airflow better than many modern quick construction projects. They designed homes to breathe naturally. Today, rushed construction and sealed environments sometimes create moisture problems older homes avoided entirely. Again, fundamentals matter more than flashy marketing. Water management, airflow, drainage. The principles never changed. And understanding those basics makes emergency repairs far less intimidating. Because once you understand why leaks happen, you stop viewing roofs as mysterious systems. You start seeing patterns: cracked flashing, missing shingles, blocked valleys, failed sealant. Most leaks begin at vulnerable transition points, not massive holes in the middle of nowhere. That's why inspections after storms matter so much, especially around chimneys, vents, skylights, valleys, and flashing edges. Those areas move differently and experience higher stress. And interestingly, the old fabric patch method works especially well around irregular surfaces where flexibility matters most. Again, simple physics beating complexity. Now obviously, safety comes first. Climbing onto wet roofs is dangerous. Extremely dangerous. No emergency patch is worth a serious fall. If conditions are unsafe, staying off the roof is the correct decision. But understanding these techniques still helps homeowners make smarter choices overall. Even temporary tarp placement from safer positions can reduce damage significantly during emergencies. And speaking of tarps, that's another forgotten skill modern homeowners rarely learn properly. A badly placed tarp often traps water instead of redirecting it. Old roofers knew tarps must overlap strategically to guide water downward naturally. Again, gravity controls everything. Fight gravity and repairs fail. Work with it and simple solutions suddenly become extremely effective. That principle appears constantly in old-school construction knowledge. The best builders respected water behavior obsessively, because water always wins eventually. That's one reason roof maintenance matters far more than most people realize. Tiny preventative repairs can extend roof life dramatically. Replacing damaged flashing early, sealing exposed nail heads, cleaning gutters, removing trapped debris. Small habits prevent massive costs later. Older generations understood maintenance culture much better than modern consumers often do. They expected upkeep. Today, many people expect systems to remain maintenance-free indefinitely. That expectation creates expensive surprises later, especially with roofs. Because roofs silently absorb punishment every single day. Sunlight, temperature swings, expansion, contraction. It's actually incredible they last as long as they do. And when leaks finally appear, temporary emergency control becomes incredibly valuable knowledge. That's why the forgotten roof trick survived for so many decades. Not because it looked impressive, because it worked when people needed it most. Storm season, financial hardship, remote areas, emergency situations. It gave ordinary people options. And options matter, especially when panic starts taking over, because fear causes expensive decisions. That's true in almost every industry. The moment people believe they have no alternatives, they lose negotiating power completely. But knowledge changes that equation. Even understanding temporary leak stabilization gives homeowners breathing room to think clearly, to compare estimates, to avoid scams, to prevent secondary damage. That alone can save thousands of dollars. And unfortunately, roofing scams absolutely exist, especially after storms. High-pressure contractors often target frightened homeowners with urgent sales tactics and inflated pricing. That's another reason practical emergency knowledge matters so much. Calm homeowners make better decisions. Panicked homeowners often don't. Now there's another hidden reason old-school roof patching worked surprisingly well. Thickness. Many modern DIY repairs fail because people apply materials too thinly. Old roofers understood waterproofing requires substantial coverage. Thin coatings break quickly under weather exposure. Proper reinforcement and generous application matter enormously. Again, practical experience teaching lessons modern packaging rarely explains clearly. And once you start studying forgotten repair methods, you notice something fascinating. Older solutions were often brutally honest. No exaggerated promises. No miracle claims. Just practical methods designed to reduce problems realistically. That honesty feels refreshing today, especially in a world flooded with overhyped products promising impossible results. The forgotten roof leak trick never promised perfection. It promised time. And sometimes, time is exactly what people need most. Time to wait for weather improvements. Time to save money. Time to schedule proper repairs. Time to stop water damage from spreading. That practicality is why these techniques survive generation after generation quietly in garages, barns, and workshops across the country. Passed down through experience instead of advertising. And maybe that's the most important lesson hidden inside all of this. Not every useful skill disappears because it stopped working. Sometimes knowledge disappears simply because convenience replaced it. People stopped teaching repair culture. Stopped maintaining things. Stopped improvising. Stopped learning material behavior firsthand. But reality hasn't changed. Water still follows gravity. Materials still expand and contract. Fabric still reinforces surfaces. Sealants still need flexibility. The physics never disappeared. Only the public memory did. And once people rediscover these forgotten techniques, something interesting happens. They start questioning other assumptions too. What else works perfectly well without expensive branding? What other old-school methods quietly survived because they were effective? That curiosity changes people. It makes them more observant, more capable, less dependent. And honestly, that may be why practical DIY knowledge feels so powerful right now. It restores confidence. Not fake internet confidence. Real confidence built through understanding how things actually work. The forgotten roof leak trick is really about more than roofs. It's about resilience. The ability to respond calmly when problems appear instead of immediately collapsing into panic and dependency. Older generations developed that resilience because life demanded it constantly. And while modern technology absolutely improved many things, it also caused people to lose countless practical skills along the way. Skills that once made ordinary homeowners surprisingly self-reliant. That knowledge still exists. Hidden in old repair manuals. Passed down by retired tradesmen. Quietly surviving in workshops most people never see. And sometimes, all it takes is one storm, one leak, and one emergency to realize how valuable that forgotten knowledge still is today. So the next time heavy rain starts hammering your roof and water suddenly appears where it shouldn't, remember this. You may not need an expensive miracle solution immediately. You may just need enough knowledge to stop the damage long enough to regain control. Because sometimes the most powerful repair skill isn't knowing how to rebuild everything perfectly. It's knowing how to buy yourself time before disaster spreads. And for generations of homeowners, that forgotten roof leak trick did exactly that. For less than the price of a coffee.